Imagine you are the most wanted man on Earth. The most powerful military in human history has spent 10 years, billions of dollars, and deployed thousands of spies just to find you. You can't use a phone. You can't use the internet. You can't even take out your own trash. In late 2010, the CIA was flying classified stealth drones over a quiet, affluent neighborhood in Abbottabad, Pakistan. They were looking at a massive, custom-built compound. It had 18-foot concrete walls topped with barbed wire, 2 security gates, and opaque windows. It had no landline. It had no internet connection. The people inside burned their trash instead of putting it on the curb. And every single day, the drones captured images of a tall man stepping out into the compound's courtyard. He never left the walls. He just walked in circles. The CIA analysts didn't know his name, so they gave him a nickname, the Pacer. A few months later, on a moonless night in May, 2 highly classified, radar-evading Black Hawk helicopters crossed the border into Pakistan, flying low to avoid detection. Inside were 23 of the most elite operators on the planet, a Pashto translator, and a Belgian Malinois dog named Cairo. Their mission: breach the compound, confirm the identity of the Pacer, and end a manhunt that defined a generation. This is the story of a 10-year chase that came down to a 40-minute raid. A mission where almost everything went wrong in the first 30 seconds, and how SEAL Team 6 pulled off the most famous covert operation in modern history. To understand how they found him, we have to rewind. After the September 11th attacks, Osama bin Laden vanished. In late 2001, he slipped through the mountains of Tora Bora in Afghanistan, and for years he was a ghost. The prevailing theory was that he was living in a freezing cave somewhere in the lawless tribal regions between Afghanistan and Pakistan, but the reality was very different. Bin Laden was actually living in an urban mansion, an hour's drive from Pakistan's capital, right down the street from the Pakistani equivalent of West Point. So how did the CIA find a man who left no digital footprint? By tracking his shadow. Since bin Laden couldn't use technology, he had to rely on a trusted network of human couriers to pass flash drives and handwritten notes to his commanders. In 2002, interrogations of captured Al-Qaeda operatives yielded a single, crucial alias: Abu Ahmed al-Kuwaiti. For years, al-Kuwaiti was a phantom, but in 2010, the NSA intercepted a phone call. The caller was al-Kuwaiti. The CIA tracked the signal to Peshawar, Pakistan, and deployed operatives to physically follow his white SUV. They followed that white SUV all the way to a massive, imposing fortress in Abbottabad. When the CIA ran the property records, they found the compound was built in 2005. It was heavily fortified, deeply secretive, and millions of dollars above the local standard of living. And there was that man, the Pacer, who matched bin Laden's height, walking the grounds. They brought the intelligence to the White House. But there was a massive problem. They didn't have a single clear photograph. They had circumstantial evidence, a suspicious building, and a gut feeling. They couldn't actually prove the Pacer was Osama bin Laden. By early 2011, Vice Admiral William McRaven, the commander of the Joint Special Operations Command, was brought into a secure room at CIA headquarters in Langley. He was briefed on the Abbottabad compound and told to develop a plan. President Barack Obama and his national security team spent months debating what to do. They basically had 2 options. Option 1, flatten the compound with a massive airstrike from B-2 bombers. It was zero risk to American lives. The problem, it would obliterate the entire site, leaving a crater. They would never be able to officially prove bin Laden was dead, and it would likely kill any civilians in the surrounding homes. Option 2, a surgical special operations raid. Send in the SEALs. A raid meant putting American boots on the ground in a sovereign, nuclear-armed nation without their permission. If the SEALs were captured by the Pakistani military, it would be an international hostage crisis. If the helicopter was shot down, it would be another Black Hawk Down scenario. And the most terrifying part? The intelligence analysts told the president that there was only about a 55% chance that bin Laden was actually in the building. It was a coin flip. They might be risking World War III to raid the house of a Pakistani drug lord. Despite the pushback from some advisors who thought the risk was too high, President Obama gave the green light. He chose the raid. Admiral McRaven tapped the Red Squadron of the Naval Special Warfare Development Group, better known as SEAL Team 6. They built full-scale replica compounds in Nevada and North Carolina and practiced the raid over and over in the dead of night. On April 29th, the final order was given. The mission was a go. At 10:30 p.m. local time, two heavily modified stealth UH-60 Black Hawk helicopters lifted off from Jalalabad, Afghanistan. They were flying under the radar, entirely blacked out, navigating through the treacherous valleys of the Hindu Kush Mountains. The flight took 90 nerve-wracking minutes. The plan was precise. Helicopter 1 would hover over the compound and drop SEALs onto the roof to clear from the top down. Helicopter 2 would land outside the walls and clear from the ground up. They arrived at the compound in Abbottabad. But immediately, the plan disintegrated. As Helicopter 1 attempted to hover over the courtyard, it got caught in its own rotor wash. The high walls of the compound trapped the air pushing down from the blades, creating a violent vacuum. The pilot fought for control, attempting to bail out of the hover, but the tail of the Black Hawk clipped the 18-foot concrete wall. The helicopter went down hard inside the animal pen of the compound, digging its nose into the dirt. The rotors snapped off, sending deadly shrapnel flying. Back in Washington, the video feed cut out. The room went dead silent. The raid hadn't even started, and a highly classified helicopter had just crashed inside the target compound in a hostile country. But these were Tier 1 operators. Inside the downed aircraft, the SEALs immediately unbuckled, kicked the doors open, and poured out into the compound. No one was seriously injured. The mission hadn't stopped. It had just changed. The pilot of the second helicopter, seeing the crash, abandoned his drop zone and landed outside the outer walls. The SEALs leapt out and slapped explosive breaching charges onto the metal gates. The assault had begun, and they had exactly 40 minutes before the Pakistani military arrived. The SEALs systematically cleared the guest house. This was where they found the courier, Abu Ahmed al-Kuwaiti. He opened fire through a door. The SEALs returned fire, killing him. They blasted their way into the main 3-story house. The place was pitch black. The neighborhood's power had been cut right before the raid. The SEALs hunted under the green glow of 4-tube night vision goggles. On the stairs to the second floor, they encountered bin Laden's 23-year-old son, Khalid. He was armed and peered around the corner. A SEAL whispered his name, Khalid. When the young man leaned out to look, he was shot and killed. The assault element pushed to the final set of stairs. The 3rd floor. As the point man crested the top of the stairs, he saw a tall, bearded man poke his head out of a bedroom door, then immediately retreat back inside. The SEALs sprinted down the hallway and breached the bedroom. Inside, 2 women attempted to shield the man. The point man shoved them aside, tackling them to the ground in case they were wearing suicide vests. The operator right behind him stepped into the room. He raised his rifle. The man on the floor was wearing a tan shalwar kameez. He had a weapon nearby, but he didn't use it. He had been shot in the chest and the head. The team leader keyed his radio. It was a transmission that would be immediately relayed to Admiral McRaven and then to the President of the United States. For God and country, Geronimo, Geronimo, Geronimo. Geronimo was the code word for bin Laden. There was a pause, and then the operator added 2 final words, Geronimo Ekie. Enemy killed in action. But the mission wasn't over. They were running out of time. Lights were turning on in the neighborhood. Pakistani authorities were mobilizing. The SEALs tore the compound apart, bagging hundreds of thumb drives, computers, and handwritten journals, the motherlode of Al-Qaeda intelligence. They placed bin Laden's body into a bag. They moved to the courtyard. Because of the crash, a backup Chinook helicopter was called in to extract the extra men and the body, but they couldn't leave the crash stealth Black Hawk behind. The SEALs rigged the downed helicopter with thermite grenades and C4. They blew it to pieces to destroy the classified stealth technology. 38 minutes after they arrived, the helicopters lifted off into the night sky, leaving a burning compound and a baffled neighborhood behind them. Back at the base in Afghanistan, DNA tests confirmed a 99.9% match. The manhunt was officially over. But the U.S. government faced a final dilemma. What do they do with the body? If they buried him in the ground, his grave would instantly become a shrine for extremists. So they flew the body to the USS Carl Vinson, an aircraft carrier in the North Arabian Sea. He was washed according to Islamic custom, wrapped in a white shroud, placed in a weighted bag, and slid off aboard into the dark, crushing depths of the ocean. No shrine, no memorial, just the sea. At 11:35 p.m. Eastern Time, President Obama interrupted scheduled television programming to address the world. Tonight, I can report to the American people and to the world that the United States has conducted an operation that killed Osama bin Laden, the leader of Al-Qaeda. Operation Neptune Spear was a masterpiece of intelligence, patience, and absolute military precision. It was the culmination of a decade of grief and anger, executed in just 40 minutes by a team of phantoms in the night. Thank you for watching this deep dive. These operations changed the course of history, and the details are absolutely fascinating. If you appreciated this video, please hit that subscribe button and leave a like. It helps the channel immensely. Let me know in the comments which covert operation or historical event you'd like me to break down next. Stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.